I want to speak about historical truths, global sacrifices, and the misleading narratives that have often overshadowed the reality of global unity during wartime. After World War I, world leaders met with Germany to rebuild a shattered Europe. What many forget, or most perhaps choose to overlook, is the massive financial contributions made by the United States to aid Germany in rebuilding its economy and military. These efforts, well presented as humanitarian and restorative, inadvertently laid the groundwork for events that followed shortly. We saw the rise of a regime that led us into the horrors of World War II. The United States sat on the sidelines for years while the rest of the world fought and bled. The UK, Canada, and the Soviet Union and many other nations made immense sacrifices in the fight against fascism. Canada alone was involved from the very beginning in 1939, sending soldiers, supplies, and aid overseas, knowing the cost but understanding the necessity. It wasn't until 1941, after the attack on Pearl Harbor, the United States finally joined the fight. And yet, decades later, we hear claims the U.S. won the war or ended the war. This narrative is not only misleading, it is an insult to the nations that carried the burden long before the U.S. entered the fray. To be clear, the victory in World War II was not an American achievement. It was a collective effort of countless nations. It was the Canadian soldiers storming the beaches on D-Day. It was the British pilots defending their skies during the Battle of Britain. It was the Soviet forces enduring the unimaginable horrors of the Eastern Front. It was global unity, global sacrifice, and global courage that led to victory. While the U.S. provided significant resources and manpower late in the war, let's not forget the contributions and sacrifices of other nations that bore the brunt of the fight from the start. To claim otherwise is to rewrite history and disrespect the memories of all those who fought and died. To me, it even raises the question about how the war was propagated. Did certain decisions after World War I, including those made by the U.S. to finance Germany, help set the stage for World War II? This is, of course, my own opinion, but it's worth considering. On that day in 1945, when the world celebrated victory, it wasn't the victory of one nation. It was the victory of unity, of allies standing together, sacrificing together, and overcoming together. That is the truth of history, and that is the legacy that we must honor.